Like Yuri said, my name's Ed Hashbarger. I'm a retired law enforcement officer. I used to work for the Federal Drug Task Force. I have some detective background, and I'm also a disabled Marine. And this all started for me back in February of last year when I attended an oil and gas meeting just to gather some knowledge. Being a farmer and a conservative, I'm thinking drill baby drill, drill here, drill now. And that's how it started for me. Needless to say, now I find myself on the other end of the spectrum in this whole thing. And it started with when I posed a question to a gentleman from Chesapeake, and I'm not afraid to say his name because I got his card at the end of the meeting. His name is Ryan Dean. He's the manager of corporate development for Chesapeake, and it was a gentleman there from ODNR. And I asked a question: what happens to landowners who are just not interested in leasing? And they told me, we'll take it from you anyways, is the exact words. That changed my whole outlook as a conservative, as a Catholic, as a Marine, and as a cop. So I devoted my time since that time and took my police skills and started investigating the industry as I would a criminal case, compiling all the information, good and bad, because I wanted to go in and be fair about this. And being scientific, you have to have both sides of the story. And I've done that. And let me tell you something, it's opened my eyes even further. Going to Pennsylvania and seeing the water buffaloes in people's properties because they can't drink their water, seeing people lose their cattle, seeing where they can't grow crops in the farmland because pipelines running through it, or the radioactive material that comes out of the drill site as they're drilling deep into our earth. Jefferson County has 20 gas rigs in the county, and 38 in Carroll County. For the Utica and Marcellus. Rigs. Now, with that being said, I'm also on the gas assessment committee for the county. I was able to get on that committee because I told our county commissioners, as a veteran, I have a right to be on there to speak for the people who are not interested in participating in oil and gas drilling and bringing to the surface the facts of oil and gas drilling. The air pollution, the water pollution, the ground pollution. People need to know this. With that being said, they had somebody from the industry at our meeting on Wednesday, and they said, look, there's 20 rigs in Jefferson County, 38 in Carroll County, and we haven't even touched 1% yet. 1%. That's mind-boggling to me. Carroll County, if you get an opportunity, you need to go into Carroll County. There's 23,000 to 26,000 people for the whole county, and it's unbelievable. I've seen aerial photos. It looks like snakes all over the ground from rig lines running everywhere, from the above surface. And to top that off, now they're pumping water directly out of the lakes. Directly. They got the lines laying in the lakes and they're running to these rig sites. I just found out as of today that they're pumping out of Yellow Creek, which was one of the creeks in Jefferson County. Pumping directly out of the creek and sending it to one of the drill sites there to start fracking that well. Well, anyways, in my endeavors, as I'm gathering all this information, I've made myself knowledgeable on how the permit process is done. I would like to talk to people about how you can start obtaining those copies of those permits so you can start keeping a track on these oil and gas industries yourselves. I brought with me today a little kit I called my spy kit. And everybody can do this, really. It's relatively cheap. $22 at Walmart. This is the most expensive, which is a micro recorder. Does great for about 20-30 feet out. Everywhere I go, I take this with me because you never know who you're going to run into from the oil and gas industry, whether you're in a restaurant or a gas station. You get a lot of good conversation on this, and it goes right to my Facebook online, so everybody hears what's going on. This here is just a basic digital recorder. They sell them at Walmart. I think they're $22. They're already Facebook and Twitter ready. You just go back, plug it in, and everything goes right online. I do this. I take this with me, along with this, a notepad, a county map. And I go through and I mark where all the drill sites are in my county in the various townships. And the direction that the drills are going, because currently they're drilling right now along the Marcellus and Utica lines, which is it's in a northwest southeast direction. So every one of the rigs up to this point that I've investigated run in those directions right now, currently. And I can get into how many per drill site and all that stuff as time permits. Also, I carry a zoom digital camera. I take that, take pictures of drill sites, set of binoculars, there's hand warmers in there, and protein bars, because I spend sometimes the day. And what I do is I approach the site, I go to the guard shack, I ask to speak to the site manager, I go up, I introduce myself, hello, my name's Ed Hashbarger, I'll be right here watching you today. And I videotape, I record, and I said, you'll never know when I'm going to be back. And I show up at these various sites and just pop in, because we may not be able to stop them right now. But if you collect enough evidence and you hold their feet to the fire, it's going to make them abide by the rules that are currently in place. Because right now, just like everybody, we're all human. We like to cut corners on things. If you're cutting grass, well, I'll just cut this section, I'll get that maybe next week. It's human nature to do that. And what I've learned in police work, people are lazy by nature. Everybody. And people cut corners. That's how we catch criminals. We catch them when they cut corners, they become lazy. The gas industry is the same way. They're going to cut corners to save money. They're lazy. They want to get off the site. These guys are on it for 10, 12 hours a day, rotating out. A lot of them are getting sick because they're breathing in this stuff. They're breathing in all these chemicals that they're putting into the ground. And that is, the worst part is when they're drilling through the earth and they're going through radium-226 and 228, that's all coming up, radioactive. They're breathing it in. I read a report where several guys are getting breast cancer that are operating these rigs after a couple of years. So the best way to keep these people honest is if everybody just throws a little kit together and visit your sites. Just go out to these sites, visit them, and videotape. You're not allowed on their drill site, but township roads are public right-of-ways. You can park there as long as one car can get by you or an emergency vehicle can get by you, you can do that. Another thing I tell people, what we're doing in our area is we've already made it perfectly clear, none of us have leased down through here, so you're not using this township road, and if we have to have a public party every day along this road so you can't get your rigs through, we're willing to do it. You're going to have to go somewhere else. You have to cause these problems for it. It's civil disobedience, but it's civil disobedience to the point where you're not breaking the law. Okay, and I can only speak of the law aspect because I'm being a retired cop. I can speak of that. I also call my prosecutor's office to find out what I can and can't do. And when they tell me that you can do this, this, and this, but you can't do that, I do this, this. I make a list, and I go through that checklist, and I do those things. If it inconveniences them, and you know what? People's cars break down all the time. I have to get my tractor down here to move it. I'm sorry, you've got to take your rig somewhere else. And I've done that. It's taken me 6, 7 hours to move a vehicle, but oh well. There's things that you can do, and you know, it sounds, again, speaking, and I'm still a Republican, mind you, I never thought that I would go I never thought I'd go that far to the left. But the thing that I've learned in this, and me and Yuri has talked about this, regardless of our background, we're all here for the same reasons. God gave us this earth, this is ours, we're going to protect it. And if that means we got to hold their feet to the fire and change legislation to do it, we're going to do it. And that brings me to the last thing, and I'll let everybody go here so they can, next person speak. Right now, I'm currently fighting legislation, not just at a state level, but I'm doing it at a federal level. It's your life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. I went to our commissioners meeting before I got on the gas assessment committee, and I read them the Declaration of Independence. Now, I'm a veteran, I'm a disabled Marine. My son got injured in Afghanistan. He was one of the few soldiers that fought in Iraq, Afghanistan, and Pakistan. He's totally disabled now at 25 years of age because of all the injuries and shrapnel and everything from the roadside bombs. And it hurts my heart to know that our country can come back, and because I don't want to sign a gas lease, you're going to take it from me. Wrong Marine to piss off. You're not taking it, okay? And I just want everybody here today to know you can fight that under life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. Like I tell my politicians, you show me the scales of justice. You show me the scales of justice, now show me the scales of liberty. Well, we're going to start determining these three ladies here leased and I don't. So now you're going to try to take it from me to complete that track. So you're going to do it through mandatory pooling. Now you tell me how she or her has more civil liberties than me. When are we going to start? Once we start applying those scales, then we're going back to civil rights. We're going back to minorities and everything else having less, they're less human than the next person. They don't want to go there. And that's the fight we have, that's how we have to take the fight to them. You take the fight that way, and then recently I found out, now Lutherans are big into this. They've already made it clear. Drilling is an environmental, it's a sin. Pope Benedict, for all you Catholics who may be Catholic, or like me, I'm a part-time Catholic, it said, Pope Benedict was very clear, it's a sin. It's a sin to do anything that will hurt the environment, or if you do something that causes damage to the neighbor's environment. So therefore, gas drilling is a sin, and I'm fighting him on my First Amendment right. If we can't, I tell politicians, you can't pick and choose what religion you're going to be, or what part of your religious faith you're going to practice. You're either, like I told Rick Santorum when I went to one of their things, I said, you're either Catholic for everybody, you just can't be Catholic against abortion and contraception. Pope was very clear. You do anything that's going to hurt the environment, it's a confessionable sin. You better get to the confession box. So, what I'm saying and what I'm telling my politicians is you're affecting or you're trying to strip me of my First Amendment right, and that's a freedom to practice my religious belief. My religious belief is God gave us this earth. The earth will take care of us if we take care of her. We start putting things in the ground and damaging it, then I failed my God, who asked me to take care of what I own. And I can only take care of what I own, and I can inform other people how to take care of what you own. And thank God we got scientists here that see what we see in this whole thing, and they can speak to the chemical parts of this and the environmental impacts. But all of us here can do our own part by getting our spy kit together, throwing it on Facebook, holding our politicians accountable, and reminding them life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness belongs to each and every one of us as individuals. We're born with those rights. Some people like myself put on a uniform to provide those rights. You don't want to piss me off and 700 or 7.5 million Legionnaires out there, Legion members, who are veterans, who put on a uniform to defend those rights for all of us. Because now they're thinking, okay, that's a large voting block. And all these people are eligible to vote. And a lot of our seniors who are military members do vote. They make it to the polls. So there is something you can do. I'll be more than happy to talk to people. I've gone all over the state talking to people. I've testified to congressional members on our state, our representatives on our state level, and senators on our state level. Get involved at your county commissioner level. Hold their feet to the fire, because I told our 3 county commissioners, we have an environmental impact. If you ain't at least on my side, at least 25%, I'm going to tell everybody what you did. And everybody, and what I mean what you did is not support at least 25% what I'm standing for. That's not a whole lot to ask. But if you get that commitment from them, they're going to do just enough to appease you. Only if you make it miserable for them and get in their face about this stuff, and that's what you got to do. So, guys, thank you for your time, and I'll help anybody out. Thank you.